So, what if the words in a sacred text weren't just ink on a page, but were actually a living being? It's a huge idea, and today we're diving into a theological argument that claims exactly that. We're going to break down, step by step, how this viewpoint sees God's word not as a thing, but as a powerful, living entity.
Everything, and I mean everything, we're talking about today really hinges on this one single verse from the Gospel of John. According to the source material we're looking at, this isn't just some poetic opening line. It's the master key that unlocks this entire way of thinking. All right, so our first stop is to really unpack what's going on in this foundational verse. The text we're examining argues that these few words make a pretty radical claim, not just about communication, but about identity itself.
And here's the first big insight from our source text. The idea isn't that God simply has a word or speaks words. The argument is that God's word is God. It's a statement about a totally inseparable identity. The text puts it this way: God's word is not merely what God says, it is God himself.
Okay, so if the word and God are one, what does that actually mean? Well, the source argues that this relationship is completely different from how you and I use words. And that brings us to our second point. What is the true nature of this word?
This slide right here really gets to the heart of the distinction. On one side, you have the common view that God's word is kind of separate from him, like a book an author writes. But the argument we're digging into says the opposite. God's word is God in expression. It's not something sent from him. It's the very vehicle of his being.
Now, this is a pretty abstract idea, right? So to make it a little clearer, the source uses a human analogy. And it all comes down to a simple question. How do you really get to know a person?
Think about it for a second. Our words express our thoughts, obviously, but they do so much more. They reveal who we are, our personality, our character. So the source just applies that exact same logic to God. His word isn't just a message, it's the full expression of his nature and his power. So here's the crucial part. When this word is expressed, it isn't empty. According to this text, it's packed with the very essence of God. It actually transmits his power, his presence, his glory, and even his life. So in this view, to receive the word is to receive the very substance of God.
And that all leads to this really pivotal question that the source has to tackle. If the word carries so much of God's essence, his personality, his power, can we really keep calling it an it? Or is it something more? And this is where the whole argument takes a major turn. We shift from the word as an expression to the word as a person. So let's take a look at how the source text makes that leap.
The source finds a huge clue right in the grammar of the Bible. It points to John chapter 1, verse 3, and notes that the text says, "All things were made by him." That one little word, him, is presented as direct evidence that the word isn't some impersonal force, but is, in fact, a person. So, who is this person? Well, the source text is very clear. It identifies the word as Jesus Christ, the word made flesh. In this framework, Jesus is the ultimate living, breathing personification of God's word. He doesn't just deliver the message, he is the message. To really hammer home this idea of unity, the source quotes Jesus directly. This statement, "I and my Father are one," is used to show that Jesus, the living word, shares the exact same identity, the same essence, as God the Father.
All right, so we've laid out the whole theory, but what's the practical impact? I mean, why does it even matter if the word is a person? Well, our final section digs into what this belief actually means for the real world. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. If the word is God in expression, and Jesus is that living word, then any interaction with the word, whether you're reading it or hearing it, is a direct encounter with God himself. It completely changes things, right? Reading isn't just taking in information anymore. It's an active fellowship with the divine. And because the word is seen as God in action, it's believed to have this incredible real-world power. The source claims it's not just supposed to be inspirational, it's functional. It's a force that can actually create, heal, transform, and deliver. It actively shapes reality. And that brings us full circle. The argument's logical conclusion is this: because of that inseparable identity, the way you treat the word is the way you treat God. To honor the word, to respect it, to receive it, that is, in fact, to honor and respect and receive God himself. So let's end with this question. If you were to adopt this perspective, that the words on the page are the very presence of a person, how would that change the simple act of reading for you? It's a thought that could really reframe the whole experience.